The Doomsday DLC was a very controversial DLC, and so in this video I went back to review it and I bought everything in the DLC to see how it holds up to today's standards. The Doomsday DLC came out on December the 12th, 2017. Right off the bat, the players were introduced to the Doomsday Heist itself. It is a 3-act sequence of missions involving heist preps and setup missions before undertaking the heist finale, aka the Doomsday scenario. Now, this heist was a very futuristic and a very weird take on GTA Heist, and therefore it brought a whole bunch of controversy. But we'll get more into that later. Let's talk about the new property that came to the game, the Facility. The Facility was a brand new property that came with this DLC, and it allowed you to store special vehicles you couldn't store anywhere else. Also allowed you to start up these heists and much other things. One of the most controversial things that came with this facility is a cannon that is stored in the sky and you can shoot players from underneath. And you can tell why this is a very controversial thing. Because let's say you're selling cargo and that can be shot. Now let's talk about the vehicles in the facility. First vehicle is the Mammoth Avenger. This was one of the coolest additions to the game that we had in a while. This was basically a flying MOC and it was volatile, meaning that it can switch from an airplane mode to helicopter mode. And this also had some autopilot, so this means you could go in the sky, engage autopilot, and then you can go do stuff in the back. The stuff that it includes in the bay is a vehicle workshop for the brand new vehicles, also a weapons workshop for Mark II weapons, and turret guns. This vehicle is based off the V22 Osprey, and also this vehicle is coming at $3.45 million to $4.78 million. So it's not really a cheap vehicle, but this is one of the coolest vehicles in the DLC. Next on our list is the Deluxo. The Deluxo is also one of the most controversial vehicles because it brought some of a futuristic type to GTA Online, and that it really doesn't belong in the game. So the Deluxo is based on the DeLorean from Back to the Future, and it returns in Grand Theft Auto. This is a flying car that also has homing missiles on it, and is a very expensive car, coming in at $4.7 to $3.5 billion. This is one of the first controversial vehicles that came into the game from a futuristic look. Next on the list is the Mammoth Thruster. Now this is a jetpack coming into GTA Online, and again this is a very controversial vehicle, but it's not very good. So I think this does not belong, and I don't think they should have put this in the game. So this was kind of a bad vehicle. But if you did want to buy it, it's coming in through $3.6 million to $2.7 million. The next vehicle on our list is the Kanjali. Now this is a brand new futuristic self-tank based on the polished light tank PL01. And this is a beast of a tank. This is the only other tank that we have in the game besides the Riot. And for a tank, it's pretty good. It's completed with a railgun on top that you can shoot. And even though it has a futuristic thing on it, I think this was a good addition to the game because we needed another tank. Now, if you wanted to buy this, it's coming in at $3.8 million to $2.8 million. Next on our list is the APC. Now, this is a law enforcement 6-wheeled armored truck. And, well, this thing is a big waste of money. Although you use it in Doomsday Heist, it's not really worth to buy. This is basically a big semi-truck with a mini ramp on it, and it is not good at all. And it has a fire hose on the top. So I don't think this was a good addition to the game because it serves no purpose other than a mission. And I don't think they should have added this. But if you did want to buy it, it's coming in at $3.1 to $2.3 million. The next vehicle on our list is HVY Chernobyl Bog. This is basically supposed to be an anti-aircraft. And so how it works is it's basically a big truck that you drive, and then you have to stop to shoot the missiles. And you have to have 2 people to work this thing, and I personally don't think this is a good addition to the game. It's a very expensive, and you can do the same thing with a homing launcher. But if you did want it, it's coming at $3.3 to $2.5 million. The next vehicle on our list is the Strongberg. Now, this is a submersible sports car based on a James Bond movie. And this is one of the coolest cars in the game. Although it's outshined by the Toreador that came out in the Cairo Perico Heist DLC, it is a very cool underwater car. And I personally think if you were to take the futuristic stuff out, I think this would stay because it is feasible. And this thing is very expensive, but it is very fun. It's coming in at $3.2 million to $2.4 million. Our next vehicle is a truck. It is the HVC Barrage. This is a weaponized ATV and based on the HDT Storm. This is a very cool truck. It's supposed to be armored, but it doesn't really do good in that class. But if you have two friends and you want to have some fun, I suggest driving this around Los Santos and shooting. This is coming at a $2.2 million to $1.6 million, so it's fairly cheap on this end. Now, these last two vehicles are aircraft. Now, starting it off, we have the Akula. This is one of the best additions to the game, and I think this is personally the best added thing in this DLC. It is a very cool stealth bomber attack chopper. This is still easily one of the best aircraft in the game to this day, and I really suggest purchasing this. It's coming at a $3.7 million to $2.7 million. Unlike the Akula, the Volatile is just a very big plane that is very slow, and I do not suggest buying it at all. It's just a very expensive paperweight. It's very large, you can barely fly it anywhere, and it's coming at a $2.7 million to $2.8 million. Now let's go over the weapons real quick. The weapons that came in this is the SNS Pistol Mark II, the Heavy Revolver Mark II, the Special Carbine Mark II, Bull Pump Rifle Mark II, Pump Gun Shotgun Mark II, Marksman Rifle Mark II, and Double Action Revolver. We also got over 200 pieces of clothing, 65 outfits, and 123 masks. Also 30 tattoos and 26 face paints. Now let's talk about the actual heist. Now these heists are split up into 3 different acts: Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. First, I want to say the setup cost. Now the setup cost for Act 1 is $65,000, Act 2 is $95,000, and Act 3 is $120,000. Now your protagonist on this is Avon Hertz, Lester Crest, and the IAA. The finales are the data breaches, the Bonogin problem, and the Doomsday scenario. And these do not pay really well, and I really don't suggest doing them after the first time because these are a very long thing to do. And something that Rockstar added is for you to pay to skip these setups. There's basically setups for the setups. And you can see how time consuming that is for people. So personally, I think you should not do this, and because it's not really fun. A lot of these missions are very hard, but if you did want to do it, it's 2 to 4 players. And well, now let's talk about the controversy with this DLC. The controversy with this DLC is adding all the futuristic stuff to the game. Now, this also happened in After Hours because it added the Oppressor Mark II. Now, these futuristic vehicles have ruined the game in my opinion because the Grand Theft Auto games are not based on futurist stuff. It's realistic stuff that could really happen in life. And so the jetpack was very controversial. So was the Deluxo, and basically the whole DLC was, and the heist. Because these are very futuristic stuff, and this stuff would bankrupt Mark Zuckerberg. So what's the review for this DLC? Personally, I think this DLC is getting a 3 out of 5 stars because it did add some very controversial stuff, and the heist payouts are very low and they have not fixed them. Also, I don't think you should just have to have 2 to 4 players. I think it should be able to do solo. Anyways, that's gonna do it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. Also, I grinded to buy all these vehicles to make this review, so I'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe, and have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. And the next one of these is gonna be for the casino heist. Goodbye.